It's my house, come on, turn it up.
Good morning, Chattanooga. This is Real Estate Today with Cindi and Jody on Talk Radio 102.3, The Talk Monster, with your hosts, Cindy Richardson and Jody Gatlin with Richardson Group KW Cleveland. The Home of the Offers Instantly program. Get a guaranteed offer on your home within 24 hours. Log on to rg423.com for more details. The Richardson Group KW Cleveland, over 20 years of experience serving Southeast Tennessee. Each Keller Williams office is independently owned and operated. Hey, if you have questions this morning about buying, selling, or investing in real estate, you can call or text the studio, 267-1023. We're also taking questions this morning through our live video on Facebook at the Richardson Group KW Cleveland Facebook page. If you have a real estate question you would like to discuss off the air, call our office, 790-7979, or visit our website, rg423.com. A member of our experienced team of realtors would love to be able to help you with all of your real estate needs. As always, we look forward to answering your real estate questions this morning on the air at 267-1023. Good morning, ladies. It's great to have both of you back.
Good morning. Good to be back.
Good to have Cindy with us today. Did you learn lots?
Yes, I did. Yes, we had a great time. A little bit of sunshine.
That never hurts. That's always a good option.
Mm-hmm.
So any of you guys that are watching us on Facebook Live probably noticed that we have a new member of the team here with us, so to speak.
Yes.
So who is this guy, Cindy?
Today we have a very special guest. He is the detector of defects, the investigator of imperfections, the pointer outer of problems, and all-around great guy. He tops off his blinker fluid. He uses his left and right turn indicators. He is Mr. Bart Hamilton from Pillar to Post Home Inspections. Bart, thank you for being here today, sir.
Thanks for having me. Nice. And I'll make sure I'm not going to do anything crazy and lick the microphone.
You know,
like I've heard others have done here before in the past. So.
just keeping things exciting, Bart. What can I say? Do you check blinker fluid?
You know, when I heard that, I was like, God, wonder what my level is. But no, I have never done that before. But I have touched my my headlight bulb with my fingers. I learned something on the show last time. Is you need to wear gloves or put a rag when you're putting your headlight in, by the way. So
Good to
nothing
know.
to do with real estate, but I did learn something on the last show.
Good to know. I'm going to go on a limb and say I don't plan on touching the headlight.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, me neither.
We'll let somebody else do that
Yeah.
for me. Just like, what would not be a good idea for you to do yourself?
Change your transmission.
Maybe your own home inspection.
Yeah.
How about that? While we're talking real estate, so let me just back up and say I think, people, there's a little bit of a misconception, and we're going to talk some specifics, but you technically can do your own home inspection.
Mm-hmm.
We sent out these mailers years ago about for sale by owners, and it's a picture of a woman with her ponytail out and a pair of scissors, and it says just because you can do it yourself doesn't necessarily mean you should. So,
And just so that we're clear about that too, in this Tennessee state contract, it does say that you can do your home inspection. Now, it has to be you as the buyer or a licensed professional in the field that they will be inspecting.
So not your dad.
Correct. Or your brothers, friends, sisters, dads,
Uncle.
Yeah,
uncle.
Exactly. So
Who
it technically
build a
needs
house.
to be you or a licensed home inspector is the way that it's written. So.
Mm-hmm. So how long have you been doing home inspections, Bart?
So I've been doing home inspections for going on almost pushing 10 years now. I've had some previous experience prior to this, and a lot of home inspectors do. They'll have, some home inspectors will be structural engineers. Some may have an electrical background. I used to do insurance restoration works where we would actually go in and work with insurance companies to prepare or repair damages to homes that were covered by insurances. And then I thought, home inspecting is kind of in that genre, and I was in the military, and I was kind of like a plumber for jet fuel back in the day. So I kind of have a little plumbing background, but it wasn't with water. So then I got into home inspecting, and you got a few certain things to do to get licensed and all that. But going on 10 years now. So and you guys are one of the best realtors there are here in Cleveland as well.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
And Pillar to Post is a pretty big franchise, correct?
Pillar to Post is. Now, Pillar to Post is a franchise similar to Keller Williams.
Correct.
And there's probably close to 600 franchisees across North America.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's a pretty big operation. We're the owners of the one in Cleveland. There's also another one in Chattanooga, and they're all over Tennessee as well.
Yep.
Canada,
Ken
and
Fast
North
here in
America.
Chattanooga.
Yep.
And Ken was the Pillar to Post Franchisee of the Year.
Yeah, we're
So,
proud of him. He won
yeah,
Franchisee of the Year.
That's
big with
Yeah, that's
600
huge.
600
Yeah,
franchisees.
yeah,
So
he does great, and we team up together. We're partners, and I'm proud to be associated with him as well, and hopefully he is with me as well too. I know.
Oh, yeah.
one of the things I think that Cindi and I can definitely speak to on the listing side of things is it's really important for us when you hire a home inspector. Not only are they a lot of people are qualified, but for us it's really, really important for someone that can communicate what they find and the way that they deliver that. So why don't you tell us a little bit? So in a home inspection, let me say this, and remember we try to speak to everybody, the people that know what we're talking about and the people that have never done this before. But when you purchase a home, you essentially request or outline in the contract an inspection period. So you have a certain number of days that's outlined in the contract to inspect any and everything that you're concerned about. Now, we've talked about it before, but Tennessee is a buyer's due diligence state. And essentially that means that you as the buyer, if you have a concern, it's your responsibility to investigate that concern. Now, and we'll get into this, we'll break it down a little bit, but essentially what do you check? When you do a home inspection, what are you looking at?
Yes, yeah, that's a great question, and communication is super key as well. So that's one thing that we really try to pride ourselves on. And home inspectors, they all communicate differently.
Amen.
And so it's very, very, just like anyone in any profession, bedside manner. So it's very important to find a home inspector that doesn't necessarily or doesn't at all scare or make the homeowner somehow like, oh, you should never buy this home again because it's going to fall down. You don't hear that in the news much, that homes are falling down and killing people, by the way. But the way you explain things is just that it's a tool, it's a knack. But in a home inspection, what don't you check? What don't we check? But there's a whole list of things. But just from the top level view, we're going to check everything from the roof, the attic, the foundation, and that's whether it's a crawl space, basement, or slab, and then all your major systems. So we're going to check your electrical, your plumbing, your HVAC, and then your exterior and interior. Now we could break each one of those down, and there's multiple facets within each one of those little areas that you're going to check. Like a structure, or the roof structure, you're going to look at the bridge beam, you're going to look at the trusses, you're going to look at the insulation, the ductwork in the attic. So there's all kinds of things in each section that you're going to
Well, and let's
check.
on that note, would you say that it's safe to say that you provide an overview of the essential parts of the home?
100%, it's an overview. Now, in a home inspection too, this is some kind of hopefully it's an education thing for some folks here, is that an inspection is a visual inspection. So we're not going to go take a sledgehammer into the wall and tell you if you got insulation in there or not, and we're not going to move somebody's dresser to look behind it and things like that. So it's a visual inspection. If we can't see it and we can't reasonably move something we're only going to be able to describe and explain what it is that you can visually see. But yes, it's a total picture of the house from top to bottom.
And you're also going to point out the recommended repairs, maintenance, and then maybe suggestions for the future, correct?
Correct. So if there's something that we see that's a deficiency, we'll say this is the deficiency, and then you should make a recommendation for next steps, how to repair, or maybe it's a contractor that needs to come out and repair it. But
That's what I was going to say. I think that's important to note too. We get people sometimes that have a home inspection, and then because the home inspector recommended or pointed out that the roof was past its typical longevity or something of that sort. Again, that goes back to Tennessee as a buyer's due diligence state. So if you're working with a realtor, which you should be if you're not, for a million reasons, but that's another one. Once you have that home inspection, if they do recommend something or there is a problem, you then can contact someone whose specialty is that specific area. So if Bart says the roof is past its typical prime, something of that sort, then we would call a licensed roofer to come and check that on top of that.
Right, and a good inspection would recommend as well.
Yes,
that
absolutely.
as well. If it's if you have a missing shingle or some roof damage, it's going to be a recommendation that we'll recommend that a roofer come out and look at that and give you the repair proposal for that.
And all homes are going to have some type of maintenance issues, or whether they be new or old. All homes, and you can't guarantee just because something is working today that it's not going to stop working a month or 2 months after closing. This is just an overview of what your assessment is as of
At
the
that
day
time.
you're
Right.
there.
Yeah.
The first part of good communication with your client is there is no such thing as a perfect home. There never has been, never will be. We do a lot of new construction as well, and there's just never anything that's just exactly perfect. Now, we've seen some close stuff. There's some people that take care of their homes out there very nicely, but if you got a crack in your around your window frame, or even your brick mortar outside, perfect maintenance is basically impossible to do. So a lot of the information that shows up in a report just might be typical maintenance items as well. That's very helpful for folks to maintain their homes.
Yeah.
It's funny, we jokingly, but it's the truth. I have said multiple times, it's a home inspector's job to find something wrong. And I don't mean that negatively, but there is,
right.
I think people, I think that goes back to, HGTV, and you look at 3 houses and buy the second one that you saw, they're going to find something, because like Bart just said, that very rarely are you going to walk into a home where there's zero.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just maintenance items, though, and those things you could take on 6 months from the home inspection. So
Yeah.
And maintenance is something, it's ongoing. You should
Ongoing.
always be doing maintenance.
ongoing.
Yeah.
And who
Hey, guys.
does perfect maintenance? Nobody.
Exactly. Well, guys, we're going to step away and take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get a little bit deeper into what the home inspection process is like with Bart Hamilton from Pillar to Post. This is Real Estate Today with Cindi and Jody on Talk Radio 102.3.
Chattanooga listens to us.
I do too.
Check in several times a day for the latest.
I listen in my car. I listen at work.
Don't miss a minute.
Talk Radio 102.3. WGOW FM.
On our first date, we had masks on and kept 6 feet apart. Now, we're a lot closer.
Just like Cliff and Deb, thousands of singles over 50 found their perfect match on Silver Singles last year.
I feel like I'm 20 years old again, and I'm pretty sure she feels the same way.
Rediscover the magic of dating with Silver Singles, the exclusive community for singles over 50. Sign up today and receive daily matches you won't want to miss at silversingles.com/radio. silversingles.com/radio.
Right now, people are home with their pets more often, and I think now, especially with the shedding, they're more cognizant of what's going on and that it's an actual issue. And Dynovite has helped tremendously in our house with that.
I just heard the Dynovite commercial so many times that I said, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And I ordered it and tried it, and it worked.
The Dynovite, the being at home, working with them, they all love it.
Me and Chewy are together 24/7.
Within 3 weeks, he's not scratching and itching, and he's an all-around happier dog.
DINOVITE.com.
What's done more to improve overall health and wellness, modern medicine or personal hygiene? Actually, it's both. But considering that bathing went mainstream in the 1800s and brushing your teeth in the 1900s, isn't it time for something new, like cleaning your nose? After all, your nose is the body's air filter for trapping dirt and germs, the first line of defense against allergens, bacteria, and viruses from getting into your lungs. But how do you clean your nose? With Navage. Navage isn't medicine, it's more like plumbing. Navage uses powered suction to pull saline in one nostril to the very back of the nose where germs can get trapped and multiply, and then out the other nostril, flushing out mucus and microbes so you can breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier. Join over 2 million others and find out for yourself how refreshing and easy to use Navage is. At Navage.com, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, and Target. Navage. Clean nose, healthy life.
Watching TaxSlayer calculate your refund feels like climbing to the apex of a roller coaster.
Here we go!
And flying down the tracks. At maximum refund speed. File for free with TaxSlayer Simply Free and get your guaranteed maximum refund. TaxSlayer. File fearlessly.
Is your current home loan the right fit for you? Near historic low rates may be a great reason to refinance, but when matched with an expertly chosen loan from Loan Depot, you could be saving money and paying more towards the bottom line. Call a Loan Depot loan officer and ask about our 27-year Smart Term loan or our 10-year ARM loan. Get a great rate matched with a great loan by calling 866-888-LOAN or visit loandepot.com. At Loan Depot, home means everything. Rates are subject to change. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing opportunity. NMLS number 174457. Licensed in all 50 states.
Talk Radio 102.3.
Welcome back to Real Estate Today with Cindi and Jody on Talk Radio 102.3. Get your real estate questions answered on the air. Call or text us 267-1023 here at the studio. We're also answering questions through the live video on the Richardson Group Facebook page. You can reach us at our office at 790-7979 or on our website at rg423.com. Guys, we are joined today by a wonderful friend of ours, that's someone I've known for almost 20 years now. Bart Hamilton with Pillar to Post Home Inspections. Bart, let's kind of finish a little bit of that conversation we were talking about, kind of as we're dealing with what you're asking for in repairs, what's a major, a minor, and some of the things that are kind of involved in those differences between maintenance, home repairs, things like that.
Yeah, and this is something that I love to talk to realtors about as well, because when you look at something like major versus minor, you actually start looking at that's sometimes held into the eye of the beholder.
Absolutely.
And so what I think is minor, and I'm going to tell you, I think most things are minor, to be honest with you, because money can fix anything, but it's just a matter of how much money you want to spend that makes it major. But what we look at from an inspection purpose is if it's a safety item or if it's operational, we'll consider that, and the major is not really the use of words I would use, but we can call it major. I would say those would be major. So if you're missing like an outlet cover, for example, well, if you have kids around, they can stick their finger there and actually potentially touch live wires. But that's a $1.50 fix. Just put the cover back on. So is that really major? Well, from a safety, it could be, but from cost, it's not. So that's where the buyer gets to look at what's major versus minor. But of course, if you have your foundation wall is collapsing and your house is tilting, that's probably going to be pretty major, obviously. But for the most part, major and minor are going to be in the eyes of the beholder. We will look at things from an operational safety standpoint and then pinpoint those things out. From a repair, cosmetic versus major and minor, and repairs is cosmetic. I've seen folks that see a crack in a driveway, which almost every driveway out there has a crack. They'll think that's important to be fixed, and they'll want it fixed. So it goes back to you guys now, and you guys get to manage the relationship between the buyer and the seller, and if they have a repair proposal, and if they want the driveway sealed, you should be like, no.
Right.
May not be
and that's one of the
painted
things.
Yeah,
that's one of the things that we really work with our buyers agents on is what is important to the client and managing their expectations. Because like you said, we'll see a home inspection and be like, oh my gosh, and they're worried about a crack above a door frame.
You're looking for the 3 S's: your safety, your system, and your structure. So those are the items that you want to address and make sure are all in good condition.
And you, in a Tennessee real estate contract, are not allowed, or you're not supposed to, I hate to say allowed because you can ask for whatever you want, but you cannot require a seller to complete cosmetic repairs. So a lot of times you can't ask a seller to do routine maintenance inspections. You can't ask I said that wrong, inspections, not maintenance. So what we see a lot of times is Bart is going to recommend that you have the HVAC system maintained, inspected, and serviced, because we talk about how Bart is a home inspector, not an HVAC technician. So he's going to make a recommendation for the licensed professional in that area to inspect it. Your job, your burden as the buyer is to do the inspection, not to have the seller do it. So that's when you would call in that HVAC
Homeowners
person.
should be having their central heat and air serviced once a year anyway. And that's going to determine how long your unit lasts. So just because a unit is 15 years old doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to die any day now.
Right.
If they have maintained it every year, then that unit's going to last longer than one that might be much younger but never been maintained.
Yeah, and we say that all the time. It's if you have a component or a system that is working properly, even though it's 15, 20 years old, you could still get 5 more years out of that if it's been well maintained. So just because it's old doesn't mean it needs to be replaced, but you should service it.
Right.
Manufacturers recommend you service it, so we recommend as well that you service it also.
Yeah.
And not always, but I'm going to give you a little bit of insight. If you're dealing with a seller who has routinely done maintenance, done the upkeep items, done the things that they're supposed to, that's should be reassuring to you as a buyer, because someone that pays attention to those little things, which most people do not, myself included.
Yeah. So if they have service records and have kept service records over the years, just like a vehicle, it's always great to have that if you're purchasing.
Give you some ease. So while we're talking about
that's the difference in our personalities. I assure you, mine's been serviced every year.
my favorite is
work.
I think we realized how different we really are when we went furniture shopping together.
Oh, that was fun.
Because I was like, yes, that works, and she's
And
like,
I'm
do you not have a tape measure in your purse?
Know the size of the room?
No, it'll fit. I think it looks like it'll fit. So.
By the way, it did not fit.
Yeah,
it worked somewhere else. It is what it is. So, talking about cosmetic versus true maintenance issues, let's also talk about another thing that we run into. This is my favorite when you get the dad/home inspector, because the first thing they want to say is, this is not to code. This is not to code. Right. So tell us about building codes and older homes versus newer homes, and what is that?
So I think it's a little misnomer almost in the inspection world, is that, when we get an inspection, we're going to see if the house is up to code and everything's happening the way it should. Any home inspection in the entire state, in the entire country, is not a code inspection. Now, doesn't mean that we're not looking at codes and we don't understand what's going on, but the actual inspection is not a specific code inspection, which is, just interesting for folks to understand that. Because there's lots of codes. There's no one out here that knows every code that's out there for everything from plumbing to HVAC to construction. It's just kind of an impossibility. So, and if you look at it from this perspective as well, certain municipalities will enact the current code at different times than others. So if you go to McMinn County, for instance, they're looking at code that was 2013 code. Bradley County's looking at the 2018 code, and then Hamilton County could be looking at the 2020 code. So each area also may have different codes that they're actually going by, which is another hard thing to keep up with as well.
Well, and actually the contract reads that the home must meet code from the time it was built.
Right.
So not today's code, but at the time that it was built.
So here's a perfect example of that. If you go into a new construction, when you go to any place that has water, kitchens, bathroom, exterior, you're going to see what's called a GFCI outlet, little push button. Most of you have seen those. That's code. You need new construction, you have to build it with that. You go back to a house that was 1960 built, and they haven't updated it, you still might see the outlet that has 2 holes still. They don't even have a grounding outlet. That's not up to code, but you're not required to bring everything up to code when you purchase something or sell it. It's kind of like this grandfathered in. So,
and now they're actually requiring that the GFCIs be in the actual panel, correct, rather than in the individual room. So you may not see it in the kitchen because it's in the panel.
You definitely can do that as long as you have them. But now they are doing that now, where you're actually putting the GFCI trips in the panel versus on the outlet.
I love
themselves.
that, so that when you when you trip one, you're not trying to figure out where the electric.
You go right to the panel. And I've done that many times. I've tripped one, it's like could never find it. Like,
right, and then it's somewhere crazy, like in the outside sunroom or something like that.
In a basement behind a bunch of boxes that you never can get to.
Yes, yes, because it was all in how that electrician did it when they wired it initially.
That's right.
Let me say this though, when you have a home inspection, and I'm just going to say this out there, hopefully this is useful information. You cannot require a seller to bring a home up to current code. That is a fact. But an appraiser, remember how we talked before in a couple shows back, an appraiser is going to come and have a checklist from your lender. So you may make it through home inspection time get to an appraisal and have some lender required repairs that are separate. We won't go down that rabbit hole, but sometimes you can be required to add a GFCI outlet in a kitchen, so on and so forth, because they're a safety issue, or handrails is really common, or
you have some
spindles
wood
on a
rot
porch, or
or
because
an old electric panel.
they're considered safety issues. So from a seller standpoint, again, that goes back to last week's show and stress and communication, right, Jack? If you talk about it on the front end, then it's not an issue when it happens. But an appraisal required repair is different from an inspection repair. The other thing, you did say something too, and I want to point it out. It's not on the list for us to talk about, but you mentioned not being able to get to an outlet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another thing, and Bart touched on it in the very beginning, an inspector is there to do an overview. They're also there not to touch your belongings. So if you have a basement, one of the things we say to sellers all the time is you don't have to clean your basement out to sell your house. It can be crammed full, but you need to move things away from the walls. You need to make sure the attic access door is accessible and that they can walk up into your attic. That's
but
rule
they can
number
get into
one.
the crawl space. If you have a lock on your crawl space door, please take that
Everything
off.
unlocked and accessible, and you don't have to clean your basement out, but we tell people to move things to the center of the floor. So
Yeah, you're hitting on all of it. The attic access, the crawl space access, access to the electrical panel. Those are all
exterior walls you want to be able to see.
And make sure
Those
all
are the
your
biggies.
systems are operating. So if you have winterized your home and
Turn your water on.
Yeah, turn your water on, because a home inspector cannot go out and turn your water on. Make sure that your hot water heater has water in it and it's operating.
Fireplaces. But Angel, one of our buyer's agents right now, has an issue where they haven't been able to inspect the fireplace because it's not connected to gas. So.
Yeah, that's a big one. We see that a lot. And pools, if you have a pool, make sure it's up and running.
And if not, it'll just be a limitation that you can't really inspect the pool that's covered and got green film on the top of the water.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah, I remember a lot of those. Guys, we're going to step away and take another quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue talking more with Bart Hamilton from Pillar to Post Home Inspections. This is Real Estate Today with Cindi and Jody on Talk Radio 102.3.
We talk Chattanooga, live, local, and listening to you. 102.3 FM.
At Granite Garage Floors of Chattanooga, we love floors. Garage floors, utility rooms, kitchens, craft rooms, porches, basements, showrooms, bar areas, HVAC areas, game rooms. Did we say garage? The list goes on and on. Call Dan Manager for your free estimate today. 423-592-3131. Durable, easy maintenance, and yes, a lifetime satisfaction guarantee. Granite Garage Floors, 592-3131.
Hey, this is Jim Reynolds, and I want to tell you about my friend Dan Miniger, the Danimal, and his company, Granite Garage Floors of Chattanooga. I've said a lot of bad things about Dan over the last 20 years, and many of them are true, but I'll say this. You can trust the guy. If you want a garage, porch, or basement floor makeover that's industrial quality, easy to clean, and comes with a lifetime warranty, call Dan and his team at Granite Garage Floors. Area code 423-592-3131 or GraniteGarageFloors.com.
PatriotSoftware.com. Accounting and payroll. Keep your time and money.
Mike Capel here, serial entrepreneur. Doing payroll is no longer a headache for our customer, Jeff.
I've used various payroll providers in the past, and none can hold a candle to Patriot Software. Their software is ridiculously easy to use. The support staff is knowledgeable and courteous. I am very excited that Patriot Software files my tax forms for me, not just providing the forms like other payroll companies do. As a business owner, managing payroll has been a long-time headache that I no longer struggle with thanks to Patriot Software. I definitely rate your company 5 out of 5 stars.
Go to PatriotSoftware.com to get your payroll pricing for up to 100 employees. Use promo code RADIO and get 2 months of payroll processing free. That's PatriotSoftware.com.
PatriotSoftware.com. Accounting and payroll. Keep your time and money.
This is Taft Butcher from Kia of Chattanooga. If you're not in love with the vehicle you're driving, please listen to what I have to say.
You could be driving a Kia. Oh, yes, you could. Kia of Chattanooga.
Interest rates are super low, and your old car is worth more than ever. So if you've fallen out of love with your old car, now's the perfect time to upgrade to a new Kia with 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. Don't believe in love at first sight? How about a 2022 Kia Soul LX? Not a lease, you own it for $299 per month with 0 down. That's right. You can own a new Kia Soul for $299 per month with 0 down and 0 payments for 90 days. Sale price $20,850, 0 down plus tax tag title $299 per month for 84 months at 4.99 APR. Minimum 740 credit score required.
You could be driving a Kia. Oh, yes, you could. Kia of Chattanooga.
You're going to love your car buying experience. I guarantee it. Come see me, Taft's Butcher, today. We want to see you in a Kia at Kia of Chattanooga and KiaofChattanooga.com.
Talk Radio 102.3.
Hey, welcome back to Real Estate Today with Cindi and Jody on Talk Radio 102.3. We're joined here with a very special guest, Mr. Bart Hamilton from Pillar to Post Home Inspections. So, Bart, tell us a little bit more about kind of what are some of the most common things that you see during a home inspection?
Wow. There's a lot of things that we see during home inspection. We could take any specific area. But as I walked in here today, I looked up and I was like, oh, there's those leaks in the ceiling. I can't wait to test those. I need to test those with my moisture meter. So you'll see that.
I bet you're a tough guest to have at dinner.
Yeah, I cannot go I can't drive down the road and not look at houses like, oh, where's the cross face opening? Look at that roof missing a shingle up there. It just happens, you know.
So you said moisture meter. That's one of your cool tools. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so moisture meter, and I know we talked a little about infrared. So there's all kinds of different tools a home inspector can utilize on a home inspection. And so a moisture meter, to start off with, is just basically just what it sounds. It's a meter that we have that can test for moisture and will identify whether moisture is present. It's super, super sensitive. So if we go around a basement perimeter wall, check around there, see if there's moisture coming in. Stains in the ceiling, we'll check for that, which is things that we see a lot. We'll see stains in ceilings. Any basement that you have, we're going to check for moisture. Additionally, we also utilize an infrared camera.
Oh, wow. And what is that used for?
And an infrared camera, basically what that does is it can detect heat differences in materials. So, and that's going to be either whether it's moisture or whether it's electrical. So we can take this camera and I can look at a stain on a ceiling and it will show whether that temperature is different than the rest of the ceiling, which will indicate that there's moisture. And then if you can see that, then you back it up with your moisture meter. You can look at an electrical panel with an infrared camera, and if you have overheating, you'll see a big red bright spot, and it'll show you if something's overheating or what the temperature is. So they're very, very, very handy tools. You can look, for instance, at a ceiling, and there's a bathroom above it. Ceiling looks great, but if you put a moisture meter on it and there's a leak, sometimes you just see this huge stain in your camera that you can't even see on the roof, on the ceiling, because you just can't see it with the eye yet. But
you're about to, right?
Yeah,
Since it shows the differences in temperature, you could also use that to show insulation, the lack of.
Very easily picks that
and
up.
Outlets and things like
That's
that.
right. That's right. And how you fix it is another story, but definitely,
right.
Yeah, definitely, it will identify those things for sure.
Well, one of the things that we're starting to see that I haven't seen in the past 18 years that's starting to become more prevalent is radon testing. Is that something that you guys include, or explain that a little bit to me?
So a standard home inspection, it's going to cover, the items that we talked about earlier, roofing, attic, structure, et cetera. And then there's other things, and something that we do, we like to be a one-stop shop for our clients. We like to provide those clients services that they also may desire when they purchase a home that aren't covered under a standard home inspection. One of them is a radon, and a lot of people may or may not know about radon or what radon is. But if this is the time now, I'll kind of go into a little bit about radon.
Yep. Explain what it is.
Radon is a colorless, odorless, tasteless gas that basically comes up through the ground through decomposing rock, uranium, whatever's under the ground, and it's prevalent in this area. It's prevalent everywhere, really. There's some areas that have it worse than others. Radon is the second leading cause of lung cancer behind smoking, if you can believe that. And those are facts not coming from me. And so the EPA has set a standard of what a typical radon or what a dangerous level of radon is. And radon is measured in a unit called picocuries per liter. And they've set this standard at 4.0. Anything 4.0 or above, the EPA is going to recommend that you potentially look at that and mitigate that in some way. Below 4.0, you can potentially monitor it and retest. What's funny is that other parts of the world, like Canada, they follow the WHO, the World Health Organization, and they set their limit at 2.7. So it's kind of, so it's different. Yeah, it can be different. So
and I think testing, you can correct me, but I think testing has been more prevalent in other parts of the country until recently.
that is
here.
so true, and it's really about education level. There are some areas that just are like when you have buyers coming from the Northeast a lot. A lot of the Northeast buyers are very aware of radon for some reason. We're just not. But this area actually is a high level for, or I shouldn't say high level. It is, it can be a high level for radon, just like other parts of the country. So trying to get that education out there of what it is. And you don't know if you have radon unless you test for it.
How do you test for it?
Good question. And you test for it by having a radon monitor. So we have several standalone radon monitors. They get calibrated once a year. And the way that you test for it is you need to have the monitor in the location that you're testing for a minimum of 48 hours.
So you're going to drop it off.
So we're going to drop it off, set it up in the house, leave it there for 48 hours, come back, pick it up, and then we'll have the results.
And what
for
does
you.
this look like? Is it just a...
It just looks like a little box that sits, and there's certain ways you need to set it. It needs to be like at least 2 feet off the ground. It's a little, probably 4-inch by 6-inch box. It's really not, it's unassuming. It's not dangerous. It just basically tests the air while it's sitting there once an hour for that 48-hour period. Now, it would be perfect to have a test 100% of the time, the entire year that you're living in your house, but that's just not feasible. So the limit is at least 48 hours. And if you could test it more than once a year, that would be great too. But that should give you a pretty good slice of time about what your radon levels could be. And if you've ever looked at a radon report, there'll be spikes where the radon level's high 1 hour, low 1 hour, and so it just fluctuates. And that's because radon is very susceptible to weather changes, to wind changes, to your HVAC system turning on. So all kinds of things can affect the radon reading in your home. That's why it at least needs to be there for 48 hours.
So we see them in homes. You're going to go in for the home inspection. They're going to, typically it looks like it's sitting on a tripod.
Right.
And there's a little note on it that tells you what you can and can't do. But things like making sure the door is closed, making sure the airflow is consistent and not spiking like he said. But essentially they're going to drop that off. They're going to leave it for 48 hours. They're going to come back and pick it up. So it does add a little bit of an extra step onto that home inspection process, but important. So if it's high, then what is your recommendation at that point?
So if it's high, there's a couple things you can do. If it's high, some people want to wait and test again. For instance, if it was raining the whole time that the test was taking, that can affect potentially the readings. So if the reading is a questionable reading, let's say it's really close, you may want to test again. But if it's super high, you can have a radon mitigation system installed. And there's companies out there that will install a radon mitigation system. And some folks look at this as if it's just another system in your home, like an HVAC system, your plumbing system. You have the electrical system, and you have the radon mitigation system.
I think about it like sump pumps.
Yeah.
People don't want a sump pump, and I'm like, actually, you do.
Some pumps are good.
Because if
Some
you
pumps
don't
aren't
have a
bad.
sump pump, you have a
Right.
wet basement or crawl space.
That's
So
right.
if you don't have a radon mitigation system and you need it, then
That's
you've got
right.
issues.
And so a company could come in and install it, and there's different prices depending on the home, depending on how they would do it. But usually it involves doing some digging and putting some fans underneath the house in some way, and then pulling that air from underneath the house and then discharging it to the exterior up above your roof lines.
So just to be clear, all homes have a level of radon because radon is a natural gas that is going to be found in the air at all times.
Exactly.
It's just what is acceptable and what is not.
That's exactly right. So real quick, so when you test for it, it's always best to test for it in an area of your house that you're going to be in for long periods of time, like a bedroom you're going to be asleep. So let's say if you were to test it in a playroom and you're only in there 2 hours a day or whatever, it's probably not that much of a risk to you, as it would be if the high reading was in your bedroom. So you got to
And
kind of
is it best
factor.
that you put the system or the test in the lowest part of the home?
The way I
Lowest
would
livable.
exactly the way I would recommend it is you put it in the lowest livable area. So if you have an unfinished basement, it doesn't necessarily provide you with the information that you would want, because how often are you going to be down there?
Right.
So I wouldn't put it in an unfinished basement unless the client specifically said that's where I want to test it. But it needs to be a finished space that you're going to spend a lot of time in. That's the best place to test it. And the lowest area, the lowest level of the home.
Okay. And then carbon monoxide monitors. Is that going to be something along the same lines?
Pretty much. And then carbon monoxide is more important if you have gas appliances in your home, fireplace, gas fireplace.
Okay. And again, at the lowest livable or the lowest?
For a carbon monoxide, you'd want to put that wherever that appliance is that's producing that gas. So somewhere close to the, if you got a fireplace, you'd want it someplace closer to the fireplace or closer to the areas where people may be sleeping.
Okay.
To where if it does have a reading and it will sound the alarm, you'd want them, you want the folks to wake up, of course.
Okay.
Guys, we're going to step away and take our last break for the morning. When we come back, we're going to finish up and talk a little bit more with Bart Hamilton from Pillar to Post Home Inspections. This is Real Estate Today with Cindi and Jody on Talk Radio 102.3.
WGOW. Your voice heard here.
The government needs to step up and do its job.
Talk Radio 102.3. WGOW FM.
Join us every Saturday for Family Financial Radio with Ron and Christy Adams. For more information or to schedule a consultation, visit onefamilyfinancial.com and check out Family Financial Radio, Saturdays at noon on Talk Radio 102.3.
Secure your valuables this year with a Liberty safe from Randy's Pawn Shop. They have the best selection of Liberty gun safes. Liberty gun safes are the #1 selling safes, and they're made in the USA. Support small businesses where the best deals can be made. Service after the sale happens, plus 12 months same as cash. Shop local, buy from Randy, the safe guy, and a Liberty gun safe specialist at Randy's Pawn Shop in Trenton, Georgia. A half mile off I-59 on the left. We deliver what we sell.
The Cookie Jar Cafe in Dunlap is great home-cooked food served from a vantage point of beautiful views of the Sequatchie Valley, mountains, and the Cumberland Plateau, overlooking a real working farm. Come on in because their dining room is now open. The Cookie Jar Cafe is the real deal when it comes to great food. Located at 1887 Kelly Cross Road in Dunlap. It's Mama's Cookin' with $1 million view, where you can dine inside, on the patio, or outside. Enjoy your meal under the pavilion or at their numerous picnic tables. Ribeye steak with pinto beans and turnip greens. Hand-battered chicken tenders, grilled meatloaf, plus veggies fresh from local farms. Curbside takeout is also still available. It's good Southern cooking at the Cookie Jar Cafe.
This Friday morning at 9 a.m., we'll save you some money by making the Cookie Jar Cafe our sweet deal of the week. Just log on to WGOW.com and get 2 $25 gift certificates for the price of one.
Looking for the dealer who's gonna give you more. Kia of Cleveland Superstore.
This is John Davis, the trading man for Kia Cleveland on South Fleet Highway. Is your current car or SUV reliable enough to get you and your family around safely? At Kia Cleveland, we'll get you out of your old car and into a super safe new Kia. Even if you owe thousands more than your old car is worth. High mileage, cosmetic issues, unreliable, upside down. At Kia Cleveland, all trade-ins are welcome. And get this, other dealers might lowball you on your trade, but we'll give you exactly what your trade is worth, down to the penny. So if other dealers are acting like they don't even want your old car, come see me, John Davis, today. We want your old car more, and we'll even prove it. At Kia Cleveland on South Lee Highway in beautiful Cleveland, Tennessee, where trading your car is as easy as 1, 2, 3.
Looking for the dealer who's gonna give you more. Kia of Cleveland Superstore.
Negative trade equity finance to new loans subject to lender approval. Expires month end.
KiaofCleveland.com.
The market roller coaster is back. Find out what it means for your retirement on Retirement Straight Talk with Morgan Hill, Sunday at 10, right here on the Talk Monster.
Talk Radio 102.3.
Welcome back to Real Estate Today with Cindi and Jody on Talk Radio 102.3. Hey, if you've missed a part of this morning's show, watch the replay on the Richardson Group KW Cleveland Facebook page. If you have a real estate question that you need answers to while we are not on the air, call our office at 790-7979. Guys, we're finishing up talking with Bart Hamilton from Pillar to Post this morning. Bart, a lot of great information, things that I didn't know, even though I've had a lot of those tests done on particular homes and how and the why for doing those things. I know, Jody, you had a couple of questions that we were talking about during the break.
I don't know questions as much as we just talked a little bit more about how essential it is, the same way that it's essential when you hire a realtor that you have good communication with. It's the same situation when you hire a home inspector. So there are a lot of different options out there, a lot of people that are qualified, but you want to make sure that you set realistic expectations on both sides, that they give you realistic expectations. The cheapest is not always the best. You do want to voice what your concerns are. So if you are especially concerned about radon or moisture because you had a horrible experience previously, then we want to make sure that those things are really paid special attention to. But on the flip side of that, you want to make sure that the person is educating you, not just scaring you. We've had some doozies over the years where people that are qualified maybe are not the best at relaying that information. And just the same way that we laugh about when you're showing a home, you always should assume that you're being videoed. The same,
You are most likely being
the
videoed.
same thing during a home inspection. A lot of times those sellers are listening to the home inspection and hearing the concerns, and that's where that communication. You know, one of my favorite Bart Hamilton stories was at a home where there was a sump pump that was malfunctioning. So there's nothing that says frightening like walking into, the basement and water being up to your ankles. People don't want sump pumps, but let me tell you, you want a sump pump if you have a water issue. It's there for
just
a
for that reason, to pump that water out.
Exactly. And that years ago is when I thought we need to make sure he's on our list, because he did such a good job of explaining, yes, this is a huge problem, but it's a fixable problem, and you want the sump pump as long as it's working correctly and you're doing those maintenance things that you need to. On the other side of that coin, I've had a home inspector who, on a Ring camera, said one time, we don't even need to be standing on this front porch because those columns are so rotted it could fall down any moment. While he was saying it, the homeowner was calling someone to come and look because she's thinking, oh my, we're going to fall off of our front porch and my children are going to, plunge 10 feet to the ground. They hired someone and had him gaff up the poles of this house that looked like Gone with the Wind, only to find out it was just some paint peeling on the top. So all that to say, the purpose of a home inspection is to protect you, to find things that are wrong or that things could potentially go wrong.
And it's really about educating, what we like to look at, educating the buyer about the home. I mean, it's not just about, hey, let's see how much stuff we can find wrong with the home.
Exactly.
Hey, let's educate them. Here's what kind of HVAC system you have. Here's the age of it, the size of it. Hey, where's your thermostat located? We'll even put things like that. What's your roof system made of? Is it trusses or is it ridge beam? And
what do you need to do to care for those things so that when you go to sell it? So real quick before we get off here, we always like to end this last segment with a funny one. Tell us the funniest thing you've ever done. Home inspection.
Something that's happened, and there's so many of them. It's kind of awful. I've heard of. I haven't done this myself, but I've heard where an inspector has left the bathtub running upstairs, and they forgot about it. They're checking the jetted, and it overflows, and it just overflows and just floods the whole house. It's terrible. Another one. This is just a great one. I think is doing a home inspection. There's a woman that is pregnant, and she's in her last trimester, and she's bedridden. She's one of those where she has to be in bed. And so inspector's up in the attic, and he's inspecting the attic, and he takes a chance, and he starts stepping across some of the beams, and he steps through the ceiling right over her in her bedroom in bed, and his leg comes through the ceiling and gets a little drywall dust on her, and she's like, oh, no. Of course, fixed it and paid for it. But some things like that happens. It's hard to be perfect. But
we got a call from an inspector one time on his cell phone, who needed someone to come over to the house and was very vague about why he needed someone to come over to the house. And when we got there, he had fallen through the ceiling in the utility room, and when you walked around the corner, it was just from his torso down, dangling with his. He had caught himself on the rafters and couldn't get himself back up. So Lord knows how long he hung there before he finally gave up and
I had one that came through
called.
the ceiling on a new construction and grabbed the cabinets on the way down and took the cabinets
Yeah.
out too.
So let's
Not a
say,
profitable inspection.
Exactly. I was going to say, let's talk about what happens when that does happen.
Yeah.
You did say you
So
come back
that's-
and repair that.
So you want to get a reputable
Licensed,
inspector, make sure
insured,
they're
yes.
licensed, insured, have all the proper E&O insurance, and so if you can firm that up.
So when Bart falls through your ceiling, he
It's
can
covered.
he'll come back.
It's all
and fix
good. You
it.
just got a new ceiling.
So your realtor should be recommending people that do fit all of those
Yes.
qualifications. So.
Yeah, and we do. Obviously we have great relationships with vendors, but we're going to give you all of the options and let you choose. But it is important, just the same way when you interview realtors, it's important
Who you
to
hire
interview.
matters.
It does, and you want to make sure that the things that are important to you, they're paying attention to that. But also have realistic expectations.
True.
So Bart,
Agree.
we appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. Can't wait to come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bart, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Guys, it is Super Bowl weekend. Make sure you have a fun and safe Super Bowl Sunday evening. Make sure you check out our commercial here in the Super Bowl, 8:05.
Make sure you're watching 8:05.
Also, guys, in case you haven't forgotten and she has not reminded you, Monday is Valentine's Day. Make sure.
You might want to go now while the
Yeah.
pickings are still good.
Yeah, and they're not that great. Trust me, I went Thursday night. The pickings are not that great. So you may have to think outside of the box to try and get out of the doghouse for not having something
she
good.
wants a present, even if she told you not to get her anything. So get her something. Yeah,
Most
Bart,
definitely.
do you disagree?
I didn't hear that. What did you say? Yes, buy something for Valentine's.
Yeah.
Chocolates, flowers, whatever.
Whatever you can get your hands on it, even if it's a Toblerone bar, get her something and hope that she doesn't throw it at you.
Yes.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in today. We have had a great time today with Bart Hamilton from Pillar to Post Home Inspections. Hope you guys have a safe weekend, and we will talk to you guys next Saturday. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Make yourself at my home.